Amazing reality. Grandma reveals unexpected life-changing surprise about her Nora'S parents. Nora could feel her heart hammering against her ribcage. In the cramped kitchen of their small home, the scent of simmering tomato sauce wafted in the air. Her grandmother Eleanor, seated at the rickety kitchen table, observed her with those wise, unwavering eyes. "Nora, it's time to tell you the truth about your parents," she said, her frail voice trembling but resolute. A chill swept through Nora as she placed down the pot, her mind racing. The air felt thick with unsaid words and secrets, but could it really change her life forever? She had spent countless days at the diner, working tirelessly to keep things afloat. Every tipped dollar had been a small piece of hope for their nightly meals. But Eleanor's presence steadied her. It was a reminder of love that, regardless of the bills, felt unbreakable. But today was different. Today, the weight of pending revelations lurked in the corners of their modest home. As Eleanor spoke, her hands shook slightly, gripping the edges of the table. "Your mother and father didn't leave just to chase money, Nora. They left because they thought wealth would bring happiness." Nora'S chest tightened. Memories of her parents' hasty departure flooded back, a painful montage of unanswered phone calls and rotting family photos. The resentment bubbled up inside her. Every neighbor echoed the same buzz as she trudged between tables. "Did you hear your parents are back?" They whispered, pity tinged with curiosity. Nora forced her smile, burying the pain within. "Good for them," she'd say, but her heart ached, an empty pit of betrayal gnawing at her with every forced grin. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." "Now let's continue." Eleanor's voice broke through Nora'S turbulent thoughts. "Sometimes, it's not the money that matters, but the love." Tears filled Nora'S eyes, blurring the kitchen around her. She felt so trapped between the woman who raised her and the parents she barely knew. Both represented different worlds: Eleanor, the warmth of home, and her parents, an unfulfilled promise of acceptance. At a local festival that weekend, Nora encountered her estranged parents. The tension crackled like static electricity in the air. They seemed unfamiliar yet hauntingly familiar, sports coats and brightly polished shoes that contrasted her old diner uniform. "Deep down, don't you want to reconnect?" her parents asked, their voices sweet but the words laden with complications sheathed in honey. Just then, the fear rushed in like a wave, threatening to pull her under. Would embracing them mean abandoning Eleanor's values? The comparison of wealth and family love loomed large, and Nora stood there, paralyzed by possibilities. What would true family mean for her? Was it worth forgetting the scars of the past? As she contemplated, something shifted in her heart, a flicker of light amidst the uncertainty. Would her desire for connection outweigh her pain? Just as she steeled herself to respond, a commotion from the crowd pulled her attention away, leaving her breathless and wondering what direction her life would take next. Nora took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart as she scanned the festival crowd. Music pulsed from a nearby stage, laughter floated through the air, and vibrant colors flashed in her periphery. But all she could focus on was the weight of her parents' gazes piercing into her, as if they could read every doubt swirling in her mind. "Mom? Dad?" she asked hesitantly, her voice barely breaking through the noise. They stepped closer, faces glowing with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Their smiles looked warm, yet something felt off. Perhaps it was that familiar ache of feeling like a stranger to them. "Look, Nora, we know we left without explanation," her mother began. "It was a mistake. We thought." Her voice wavered, cracking under the pressure of unguarded emotions. Nora'S stomach churned. Memories flooded her mind, moments she would replay at night, wondering what life would have looked like had they stayed. "You thought what? That chasing your dreams meant leaving me behind?" She shot back, her voice rising. A few festival goers glanced their way, curiosity painted on their faces, her father stepped in, holding up his hands in a gesture of peace. It wasn't just about us. You have to understand, we were young, lost in our own dreams. We never meant to hurt you. The pleading in his eyes made her heart ache again, but anger flared within her. Then why now? She asked, her throat tightening with frustration and hurt. What made you suddenly decide to come back? Just to play the role of perfect parents? Because we realized something, her father said, his voice softer, more vulnerable. We thought wealth was everything. But it isn't. What we want now is to be part of your life, to make up for the time lost. But what could they offer her that she hadn't grown to live without? The thought made her chest constrict painfully. Was finding a place in their lives even a possibility? Or would it just bring more heartache? Suddenly, her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. Sometimes, it's not the money that matters, but the love. It shook her. Could there be love beneath the pain they had caused? Nora backed away slightly, creating some distance. I don't know what to say, she finally confessed. The truth was, part of her wanted to believe the possibility that this could become something beautiful, something whole. But another part feared that it could rip her apart again. Just then, a loud gasp from the crowd drew her attention. A little boy had stumbled, and a commotion began to ripple through the festival. Nora''s heart thudded in her chest as she instinctively moved toward the noise, her instincts as a caregiver taking over. Maybe it could distract her from the storm raging inside, but as she turned back, she caught her parents exchanging a look filled with more than sadness. It was filled with hope. And in that moment, Nora could feel a shift, like the fragile threads of possibility weaving their way back into her life. How would she find balance between her past and this new chance? As Nora knelt beside the boy, her heart pounding with the urgency of the moment, a thought surfaced. Perhaps the key lay in understanding where she truly belonged. With determination setting in, she looked up at her parents, ready to confront the reality of their relationship. Would she take the leap, or would fear win? The uncertainty hung heavy in the air as the festival buzzed around them, each sound promising a future she hadn't yet dared to imagine. Nora''s heart raced as she knelt beside the boy. He was clutching his scraped knee, tears streaming down his cheeks. Instinct took over, and she gently assured him it would be okay, her voice a calming warmth amid the chaos of the festival. She pulled a tissue from her pocket and dabbed at his wound. See? Just a little scrape. You're brave, she said, smiling at him in that comforting way she knew best. The boy took a shaky breath, eyes wide, then nodded softly, but even as she focused on him, her thoughts spiraled back to her parents. They watched from a distance, their faces tense yet hopeful. What would it mean to truly let them back into her life? Could this moment, this small, fragile connection be a first step? After helping the boy and making sure he was okay, Nora stood, brushing off her hands and glancing again at her parents. Their expressions were still a mix of worry and longing, but there was something else, an undeniable desire to be forgiven, to show her they were ready to be there for her. Can we talk? Her mother's voice broke through the noise, drawing Nora''s eyes. The music faded, the laughter dimmed, as if time paused just for them. Nora hesitated, but something stirred in her heart. Was this a moment worth exploring? Could she wrestle her fears to the ground, even for a little while, just to understand? She started walking toward them, each step a battle between hope and anxiety. As they gathered closer, the festival buzz faded into a distant hum. We really want to explain, her father said, emotions quivering in his voice. We didn't just leave you. We thought we could create a better life for all of us, and it backfired. We see that now. Nora crossed her arms, trying to shield herself from the flood of emotions threatening to spill. But what you thought was a good life was empty without me. She countered, her voice trembling but strong. You missed birthdays, graduations, everything. Her father's eyes glistened. And every day, we regretted it. We learned that our dreams didn't mean much when we weren't sharing them with you. There was weight to his words. For a fleeting moment, tears threatened to spill from Nora''s eyes, but she held them back. Maybe there was a chance. Maybe she didn't have to be mad forever. Suddenly, the loudspeaker called out for the next act, featuring a local band. People began moving toward the stage, laughter and excited chatter rising again. At that moment, her grandmother's words echoed back, reminding her of warmth, love, and choice. What if discovering this new chapter meant healing for them all? What if they could be different now? What do you want from me? Nora asked, her voice low but full of yearning. Her mother stepped forward. Just a chance. Just give us a chance to show you we can be better. Nora swallowed hard. It was a lot to ask, but wasn't that the point? Maybe it was time to stop being a stranger to her own family. Just as she was grappling with the weight of this decision, there was a bright flash of fireworks bursting in the sky above. The crowd erupted into oohs and ahs, and for a moment, everything felt bright and full of promise. Nora turned her gaze back to her parents, whose faces were illuminated by the colorful bursts. Could she take a leap of faith? Just then, another voice broke through the moment. It was her grandmother, making her way through the crowd, calling for them. Nora. You won't believe what I just discovered about your parents. It changes everything. Nora''s breath caught. What could be so life-altering? She felt her heart skip. Her parents stared at her, eyes wide with a mix of curiosity and concern. The tension in the air shifted again. What lay at the heart of her family's past and how could it impact their future together? The festival continued to pulse around them, but in that moment, all that mattered was what was about to unfold. With her grandmother approaching with urgency, Nora's heart raced not just with uncertainty, but with a flicker of hope. What was the truth waiting to be unveiled? Nora''s grandmother rushed toward them, her face glowing like the fireworks lighting up the night sky. There was an energy in her step that hinted at something monumental. Nora''s heart thrummed with a mix of anticipation and anxiety, and she couldn't help but wonder what secret could change everything. Mom. Dad. Her grandmother called, her voice cutting through the festival noise. She reached them, panting slightly from maneuvering through the crowd. Nora, there is something really important I need to tell you. Is everything okay? Nora asked, glancing at her parents, who exchanged glances as uncertainty lingered in the air. Her grandmother took a moment to catch her breath, her eyes darting between Nora and her parents. It's about your childhood, about what really happened. Every word weighed heavy in the air, like a balloon filled to bursting. What do you mean? Nora asked, her throat tightening. What do you know? First, we need to. Her grandmother began, but a loud clap of thunder from the fireworks distracted everyone for a second. The crowd cheered, but Nora couldn't join in. This was too big. Just tell me, Grandma. Please. The plea escaped Nora before she could hold it back. Her grandmother nodded, her expression serious. When you were younger, there were reasons your parents made the choices they did, choices shaped by fears and pressures you can't begin to fathom as a child. Nora''s heart sank. The familiar weight of confusion wrapped around her again. Hadn't she suffered enough without knowing more about the past? You mean they were afraid? Yes, but it was more than just fear. They were trapped in a situation they thought they had to escape. Something came to light before they left, something I never shared with you. Nora''s parents shifted nervously, their expressions conflicted. She looked at them, searching for answers in their eyes. Could they have been hurting too? What happened, Grandma? She pressed. They were involved in something bigger than themselves. There were threat secrets. They never meant to hurt you, Nora. They wanted to protect you. Nora felt her pulse quicken, the room spinning with a whirlwind of emotions. It felt surreal. Could this really be the reason? Everything she thought she understood was unraveling. You mean to tell me they left to protect me? Yes, and it backfired. For years, they've lived with that burden, the pain of missing you, yes, but also the fear of what they thought they were shielding you from. I wanted you to hear this from me, not from anyone else. The fireworks overhead sparked and crackled, illuminating all their faces, but this new reality felt darker to Nora. Would knowing this change her resentment, or would it turn it into pity? Nora looked up at her parents. Their faces were etched with regret, each word of her grandmother hanging like a fragile thread connecting their hearts. So what now? She challenged, her voice wavering. What do you want, Nora? Her mother asked softly, her eyes shimmering with tears. Nora took a deep breath, a storm of emotions swirling inside her, the anger, the love, the confusion. I want to understand. I want the full truth. Her grandmother nodded, her hands trembling as she placed them on Nora's shoulder. And that's the first step, my dear. The truth can heal if you let it. As they all stood there, the festival continued to dance around them, laughter and music lifting into the air, while inside of Nora, a deep ripple seemed to shift. Hope battled against doubt, creating an uneasy truce. Just then, another burst of fireworks exploded into the night, brightening the world for just a moment. The colors faded away, leaving shadows behind. Are you ready for the truth? Her grandmother asked, her voice steady yet full of warmth. What had her grandmother uncovered that could change their lives forever? Would this new knowledge bind them together or push them further apart? The flicker of hope gleamed in Nora'S heart but wrapped in uncertainty. Now's the time, her grandmother said, fading into the background noise of the festival. Nora took a step forward, ready to bridge the gap, even if the truth held more chaos. But would she truly be ready for what was to come next? Nora's heart raced as she faced her grandmother, the evening chill brushing over her skin, reminding her how vulnerable she really felt. The bustling festival faded into the background, the distant laughter and music now just a hum. Tell me, she urged, desperate for clarity. Her grandmother took a deep breath, steadying herself. You need to understand that your parents felt they had no choice. It was never about not loving you or wanting to leave you. They were trying to escape a situation that could have endangered you. What situation? Nora'S voice cracked. The tension coiled tightly within her, inching closer to a snapping point. You were just a child, so it all seemed right to keep you sheltered. But there were dealings, threats, things out of their control. Her grandmother hesitated, as if grappling with the weight of the next words. They got involved with people who weren't what they seemed. People who made demands. I should have told you sooner, but I wanted to protect you, too. Nora's mind whirled. The idea that her parents had once been mixed up with dangerous individuals sounded like the plot of a thrilling movie, not her reality. For so long, she felt abandoned, and now she was drowning in whirlpools of sorrow, anger, and intrigue. So they left because they thought I was in danger? Yes, her grandmother replied softly. It was an immediate decision. When they discovered what was happening, they thought they could get away from it. But it kept following them. And you let me think they abandoned me. Nora spat out with urgency, her emotions surging. What kind of choice is that? I lived years feeling unloved. Nora, they carried that guilt every day, her grandmother said gently. Sometimes, you choose the thing that seems right in the moment, and only later do you realize the cost. I couldn't speak on their behalf, then I believed it was best to shield you both from what was out there. Nora closed her eyes, a tear escaping down her cheek. Was it pity that filled her heart for them? Or was it understanding? The fireworks burst overhead like tiny meteors falling from the sky, but even their light couldn't chase the shadows away from her mind. Tell me what's left to know, Nora whispered, her voice barely a breath. What happened after everything? Her grandmother's eyes were sad, but there was also a flicker of determination. There's more. Years later, when they thought they had finally escaped, everything came to a head. I wish I could say they found peace, but that's not how it happened. The truth might not be what you expect, her mother added, her own eyes glistening. But it's important for you to hear it. You deserve to know everything, whether it hurt or healed. Nora'S eyebrows knit closer together, and her heart squeezed. All she could think about was how this didn't feel like the comforting story she had long wanted to hear. Then let us not wait. I can handle it, she stammered, a mix of dread and bravery intertwining in her chest. I want to hear it all. I have to. Her grandmother nodded solemnly, taking Nora'S hand. Okay. But promise me stay open to understanding them, and yourself. As a new volley of fireworks lit up the sky above them, Nora clenched her fists. Ready or not, she needed to see the truth uncovered, no matter the cost. "Let us do this," she said, her voice steadier now. But as she stood there, she couldn't help but wonder, what truths would shake the very foundations of her past? And would she still recognize the family she thought she knew? The air thickened with anticipation as her grandmother gathered her thoughts. After they left, things didn't go as they had planned. They hoped the danger would fade, but it lingered like an unwelcome ghost. "Your parents worked hard to stay under the radar, moving from place to place, always looking over their shoulders." Nora listened, her heart pounding. Could she even imagine her parents living in fear? The calm, secure life she'd envisioned slipped through her fingers. "They thought they'd given you a clean slate, a chance at a normal life," her grandmother continued, her voice soft but resolute. "But the past has a way of resurfacing. They lost touch with people who cared, me included, and their support network crumbled. It was just them against the world. What were they running from?" Nora whispered, suddenly feeling the weight of an invisible chain around her heart. "There were men, Nora, dangerous men involved in illegal activities. Your father tried to break free. He knew they were being watched. Calmly, he followed the safest path, but they were relentless. One night, they felt it was getting too close. They planned to leave one town for good, but a silence fell heavy between them. The last firework sputtered in the distance, leaving a lingering crackle in the air. But what happened? Did they? They never made it out, her grandmother finished, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. They faced their fears. They wanted to protect you. But in doing so, they exposed themselves. The truth hit Nora like a freight train. It wasn't just abandonment, it was a desperate choice made amid chaos and violence. They had chosen safety over her, life over memories, even if it meant placing their own lives in jeopardy. "What are you telling me? Are you saying they?" Her voice faltered, the horror threatening to crush her. "They made a mistake, trying to shield you. They thought they could cut ties, but they underestimated how deeply involved they had become. After that night, I didn't know what happened to them. All I had were fears and unanswered questions." Nora'S mind swirled with dark images. Her parents, alone, fighting their demons. Did they think about her? Did they even know she existed in that moment of panic? Did you ever reach out? Did you search for them? Nora'S voice trembled, desperate for more than vague memories from someone who had hoped the world they lived in wouldn't shadow her future. Her grandmother shook her head. "I tried. But after that night, it was like they vanished. I was too scared. The people they tangled with, they weren't forgiving. I thought staying away would keep you safe." Silence enveloped them, an invisible wall blocking out the world. For years, she had felt like a piece of driftwood, lost at sea. Yet now, she could almost taste the storm, her past colliding with her present. What if they're alive? What if they're still out there? Nora'S voice rose, a mix of hope and fear. "You deserve answers, but it won't be easy finding them. If they're still alive, and I believe they are, they've likely hid well to keep you safe from all of this." Her grandmother gestured to the festival, the laughter now muted, the colors dimming as shadows began to take shape around them. Nora knew she needed to uncover the details of her parents' choices, but what if finding them only exposed her to the very dangers they had tried to escape? A knot formed in her chest, tightening with each realization. "I need to find out more. If there's a chance," she breathed, her eyes sparkling with a flicker of determination despite the fear swirling within. Her grandmother nodded, just as determined. "But tread carefully, my dear. You are entering a world very different from the one you know." With a glance skyward, past the fading lights of the festival, Nora steeled herself. The next chapter of her life was unfolding, and the unknown lay ahead like a mysterious horizon just waiting to be navigated. What would she discover next? Would the truth set her free or tie her even tighter to the shadows of the past? Nora stood frozen, the weight of her grandmother's words circling in her mind like smoke from the last firework. Suddenly, the joyful noise of the festival faded into a dull murmur as thoughts of her parents filled the silence. They had been living as ghosts, hiding and running, and now she felt an urgent need to pull them back from that darkness. Where do I even start? She murmured, more to herself than to her grandmother. Her heart raced. Every piece of information felt like a thread dangling from a fabric yet to be woven. If she could just find the right thread, the tapestry of her family history might finally come together. We could look for old records, her grandmother suggested, her brow furrowing in thought. Maybe there are clues in their past. They must have left something. Do you think anyone would remember them? Nora asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The idea of traveling to the places her parents once knew felt like plunging into a cold, dark ocean. What if the people they ran from are still looking? What if it leads us into danger? Her grandmother's gaze softened, filled with understanding. Sometimes, we find ourselves in danger when we seek the truth. But it's also where we find our strength. A flicker of reassurance washed over Nora. She had never thought of herself as strong, but the courage it took just to ask questions felt like a fire igniting inside her. Okay, let us start with places they lived. Can you remember the towns? The corners of her grandmother's mouth curled into a small smile. Of course. We can begin with that. But remember, while we search, I'll need you to stay sharp. You might hear things you aren't ready for. Nora nodded, her resolve hardening. With every step she took into her parents' past, she felt like she was stepping closer to them. Each memory would uncover a piece of the puzzle, bring new insights, but also new fears. Her grandmother reached for her hand, steadying her unease. I know this is overwhelming, but you might find something beautiful, too. The parts of them that you share, that live on through you. Emotions swelled within her. Did she look like them? Did she have the same laughter, the same quirks? She barely remembered their faces, just distant echoes that struggled to surface. What if they don't want to be found? Nora asked, her voice trembling now. What if they chose to leave? And I pushed them back into their past? It doesn't matter why they left. What matters is what you choose to do now. You're not pushing them back, you're reaching out. Just like they tried to do for you, her grandmother reassured her. As they started to walk through the sea of festival goers, colorful lights blinking in time with the drumming of her heart, a sense of urgency pulsed within her. There was a story waiting to be discovered, and with every step they took, she felt the weight of their choices and the hope of her own gathering strength. What if they're not who I think they are? Nora thought aloud, an unsettling idea creeping into her mind. What if her parents, those heroic figures in her imagination, were flawed? What if their choices held secrets too heavy to bear? Her grandmother squeezed her hand tighter. That's the key, Nora. What will you do with their truth? As if answering her unasked questions, a figure across the festival grounds caught Nora''s attention. He stood out, his dark coat blending eerily into the shadows, scanning the crowd with intense eyes. A chill ran down her spine. Was he watching her? She felt a certainty wash over her. The questions and the danger were only beginning. She would uncover the truth, no matter what price she had to pay. And as the figure turned slightly, she found herself asking, was he part of the past her parents had wanted to escape? With that uncertainty hanging in the air, she felt adrenaline spurring her on. Whatever happened next would take her deeper into the shadows of her family's secrets, and she was ready. What would she face when they finally unveiled the truth? Would it lead her back to her parents or plunge her further into darkness? Nora''s grip tightened around her grandmother's hand as they melted into the festival crowd, but her eyes remained fixed on the figure in the dark coat. He seemed out of place amidst the laughter and lights, a collector of secrets in a world bursting with celebration. Every heartbeat surged with questions, filling her mind like fireworks. Do you see him? She whispered, tugging her grandmother gently. Who? Her grandmother asked, glancing around. Stay focused on what we can control. But Nora''s voice trailed off as the figure vanished into the throng of people. It was like trying to catch smoke there 1 second and gone the next. She felt a mix of frustration and fear, a storm brewing within her. "Well, we can't stand around forever," her grandmother encouraged gently, steering her away from that part of the fairground. Still, Nora cast one last look over her shoulder, half expecting him to reappear. As they navigated through the spinning rides and colorful stalls, Nora'S mind drifted back to the festival for a moment. Memories of warm evenings with her family, crisp autumn air, and the laughter of friends resurfaced. But this time, nostalgia was haunted by a new weight: the mystery surrounding her parents. It made everything familiar feel foreign. "Okay, tell me the first town they lived in," Nora said, wanting to snap out of the fog that had settled around her. "Sweetwater," her grandmother replied, her eyes lighting up as if sharing a cherished memory. "We lived there for a while when you were just a baby." Your parents loved the small-town feel, surrounded by the river and the woods. A rush of thoughts flooded Nora. Sweetwater. A name she had never heard before. Was it safe? Did they have friends there? Her grandmother hesitated, causing Nora'S heart to race. It was a simpler time. They thought they could start again there. But it didn't last. You see, sometimes running from one place leads you right back to something you want to escape. Nora felt a chill creep back in. What do you mean? A gust of wind whipped around them, carrying away the festival noise for a moment. There were whispers in Sweetwater. People talked about the past, about who your parents were. Your mother found old friends. They were not what anyone would call safe. That's when they realized they had to leave again. Nora'S stomach dropped. So they were running? All the time? Her grandmother's expression darkened. Trust me, Nora, some choices come from love, even if it means leaving. They were trying to protect you. They believed that was the best way. As they approached an old booth selling trinkets, Nora'S gaze caught glimmers of silver among the items. Maybe there are other places we could visit. Her voice trembled with excitement and fear. Mom and Dad might have left something there. Something to find. You're right, her grandmother said, the warmth returning to her smile. We can search for anything: old notes, photographs, a name. But we need to tread carefully. There may be those who don't want the past disturbed. A sudden crash from a nearby stall pulled their attention. A couple laughed as their armfuls of prizes tumbled onto the ground, oblivious to how fragile joy could be. Nora felt a pang of longing. Could her family's happiness ever be restored? Or was it too late? When she turned back, the figure was there again. His dark eyes locked onto hers across the crowd, piercing through the noise. An unsettling realization washed over her that he might be part of the truth she was desperate to uncover. Go. Her grandmother urged suddenly, pulling her forward. We need to move, now. Panic gripped Nora as her pulse raced. What did he want? Was he a friend or foe, a guardian of her parents' past, or someone still holding on to hidden secrets? With each step they took, she felt the noose of uncertainty tighten around her. The fabric of her family history fluttered wildly, threads of danger and hope blending into one. What would happen next? Would the shadows of her parents' choices reveal a new beginning or plunge deeper into chaos? And who was the man watching them? From the shadows? The moment they surged away from the fair booth, Nora'S heart raced, a drumbeat of fear and anticipation. She felt her grandmother's grip strong and reassuring, yet the tension in the air was electric, crackling with uncertainty about who might be following them. Where do we go? Nora asked breathlessly, swerving around families and young couples. Laughter echoed behind them, but it felt so distant, like a memory slipping through her fingers. Let us find somewhere quiet, her grandmother said, glancing back nervously. We can talk there. Nora nodded, trying to shake the feeling that they were being watched. She knew the fairground well enough. There was an old gazebo at the edge of the park, often left untouched amid the festivities. It was quieter there, hidden behind the trees, a sanctuary from the chaos. As they hurried toward the gazebo, the lights from the carnival faded, and an eerie calm wrapped around them, muffling the wild excitement of the fair. The wood of the gazebo was worn, and the paint peeled away in places, but to Nora, it had become a fortress against the storm brewing in her mind. "Can we breathe a second?" Her grandmother sighed, leaning against the railing. "Let us just take a moment." Nora took a step back, her heart still pounding. "Why is that man watching us? What does he want?" Her grandmother's expression shifted, deepening with concern. "I wish I knew, Nora. I need you to listen carefully. Sometimes, the past holds secrets that come back to haunt us, and we must choose how we face them." "What secrets?" Nora pressed, her voice rising. "Is it about Mom and Dad?" "That man," her grandmother paused, gathering her thoughts, "could be part of a story I've kept hidden. It's time to share something I've held back for your sake." Nora''s breath hitched. Every word felt colossal, brushing against truths she longed to grasp. "Please, tell me. Your parents didn't just leave Sweetwater because of their past. They had to protect you from something dark. From people who would stop at nothing to regain what they lost. They thought moving around would throw off their pursuers," her grandmother revealed, her hand trembling slightly as she gestured toward the night sky. Nora felt a chill creep over her. "So it was worse than just old friends? What were they involved in?" "They were looking for something," her grandmother continued, her gaze distant. "Something generations before them had hidden. It's tied to your family's history. The figure you saw? He might be connected to that search. He could be looking for the same things your parents sought." Or what?" Nora interrupted, breathless with fear and curiosity. "Or he may want to stop you," her grandmother concluded, her voice shaking that a heavy silence settled over them. The weight of unfinished stories loomed, and Nora could feel the shadows wrapping around her once more. "But how do we know what's safe? How do we find out what he knows?" An unsettling thought stirred as her grandmother looked at her, eyes softening with love. "Sometimes, finding the truth means facing what we fear the most. But together, I believe we can uncover it. We just need to stay one step ahead." Nora nodded, feeling the embers of determination spark to life. "We can't let fear make decisions for us." As they stood together in that dimly lit gazebo, the world outside hummed with life, but the impending confrontation felt like a gathering storm. Would they dare to unravel the threads of their past? Or would the secrets entwined in their family's history lead to more peril? And as they prepared to make their next move, Nora caught a fleeting shadow just outside the gazebo. She turned, heart pounding again, as the figure stepped closer, darkness enveloping him like a cloak. What would he reveal? Or was it already too late to turn back? Nora's heart pounded against her ribcage. The figure loomed closer, emerging from the shadows like a phantom of her family's past. With her grandmother by her side, a fierce determination surged within her. Whoever he was, she refused to be afraid. "Stay close," her grandmother whispered, tension threading through her voice. As the figure approached, Nora took a steadying breath. The fairground music faded, leaving a silence that felt heavy, charged, as if all eyes were on them. "Who are you?" she called, trying to sound braver than she felt. He stepped into the soft light spilling from the gazebo, revealing worn features and haunted eyes. A chill ran down her spine. "I'm someone who knew your parents," the man replied, voice low and shaking. "And someone who can help you understand their choices." "Help or hinder?" Nora shot back, desperate for clarity. "Why were you watching us?" The man's expression softened, regret weaving into his features. "I've been searching for them ever since they disappeared. When they left, it wasn't just to escape danger. They were trying to find something to ensure safety for all of you." Nora felt her breath hitch, a mix of confusion and yearning flooding her heart. "What do you mean?" "There are things hidden in your family's history, Nora. Things that led your parents to make drastic decisions. But they believed it was worth the risk." Her grandmother stepped forward, urgency in her voice. "What kind of things?" The man hesitated, gripping the railing tightly. "Your family has been tied to an old legacy. Powerful people are still hunting for it. I didn't want to believe it, but after your parents left Sweetwater, I uncovered the truth. They discovered they were part of something much bigger than themselves. Nora felt a whirlwind of emotions rush over her. Are you saying they didn't abandon me after all? They were in danger? Yes, he replied, voice steady. They were trying to protect you from the past that hunted them. They believed that leaving was the only way to safeguard you. For a moment, Nora's heart soared at the idea of her parents' love. But then anger surged again. But why didn't they come back if they truly loved me? How could they just disappear? They thought if they returned, you would be at risk. They didn't know how to reach out without putting you in harm's way. Trust me, they missed you every day. I saw it in their eyes. Tears stung Nora'S eyes. She felt the burden of resentment soften, replaced by a deep sorrow. Then how do I find them now? How do I make this right? You search for the missing pieces of your family's truth, the man declared, his resolve unwavering. It's the only way forward. You must be willing to face the shadows to find the light. Nora exchanged a glance with her grandmother, searching for affirmation. They both knew the risks, but the idea of uncovering her family's stories of bridging the gap between past and present felt like a calling. Okay, Nora said, determination weaving through her voice. I want to uncover the truth. I want to find my parents. There's more, the man added, eyes shifting to the edge of the shadows. If you're going to do this, you need to stick together. Those still searching for the things your family left behind won't stop until they get what they want. Nora felt fear creep in but pushed it away. This wasn't just about confronting the past, it was about embracing family, hope, and most importantly, love. As her grandmother squeezed her hand, Nora realized this was the moment she had been waiting for, a chance to reclaim her story. We'll find the truth together, she declared. With resolve solidifying around them, the music of the festival floated back into focus, life brushing against their newfound strength. Let us start in Sweetwater, the man said, a hint of approval in his eyes. I can take you there, but you must be careful. It may be the key to understanding everything. Heart racing, Nora nodded. They would do this, together, facing whatever shadows lay ahead. As they stepped away from the gazebo, Nora cast one last glance back, a silent farewell to the fears that kept her stranded. She was ready for the journey ahead. It was time to dismantle the barriers of the past. And as they set off towards the unknown, the night sky lit up once more with fireworks, illuminating the path ahead. They would uncover the truth, heal the wounds of the past, and together forge a brighter future filled with unconditional love. Now it's your turn to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm. I want to hear your thoughts. Comment your reactions and feelings about this emotional journey. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.